Okay, greetings and welcome to Grenfell Mediawatch update. Today's edition I want to call Behind Closed Doors, and I'm going to start with Channel 4's short documentary, which was a lift, or a documentary called Lift actually. It was called Living in a Tower Block near Grenfell, something to that.
Sometimes when I'm in my own home, my own flat, it's just like I still smell burn. Yeah. Like I smell something. I have to look to see if the cooker is off.
It's like you've injected them something in their minds that tower blocks are dangerous to live in.
We forget that those people who live in similar blocks that can see Grenfell are constantly living day to day with the fear that actually their lives are at risk.
No sprinkler system, no fire hydrant, absolutely nothing. And one of the people who passed away there is a friend of mine.
It was a really good documentary actually, very short and sweet. Yeah, props to Channel 4 for doing that one. It's a timely reminder because the government, in its usual wisdom, Savage Javid has appointed an economist instead of a scientist as a fire expert on safety issues. And that same kind of thinking where you place money before people, cash before facts and science, is exactly the same kind of scenario that led to atrocity taking place in the first place. So last week also saw Theresa May host a reception for what they call the first responders. And I'm talking about the emergency services, those who were responding to recent terrorist attacks, to the Grenfell massacre. And there was a couple of firefighters, one in particular, who actually turned down the invitation to sit down and have dinner with the same class of people that caused the problems in the first place. And he reminded us that actually the reason why he couldn't turn up, or one of the reasons he couldn't turn up, is because the cuts to fire services mean that he's working 2 jobs just to look after his family. And it's nice to hear that some people still have integrity, because this is how the political class gets us. They invite us into these swanky venues, and we have all these photo opportunities and stuff like that. And essentially they're buying you off. What they're trying to do is say to you, you know what, you're inside here, we've fed you, so don't critique us outside. And unfortunately, it often works. I really wish we would learn. Whenever the political class invites us to one of its swanky dinners, they don't really care about us. They're just using us just to dress up a press release. That's it. That's the whole objective. The only good thing about May's press release is that it links terrorism to Grenfell, because that's exactly what it was, an act of state terrorism. So David Badilio, I salute you. Thank you. Principles matters in this world. Anyway, so while some of us are sipping champagne and living it up with the elite, do you remember all the fuss that was made about the public inquiry? Moorbeek and his crew haven't released news updates since the 20th of October. What is going on? There's all this fuss about it, and that's underway. What is going on? I'm not saying they're not working, I'm just saying, what is going on? But the biggest story, as far as I'm concerned, of last week is what's happening at Maxilla. Now Maxilla, or the Wall of Justice, Wall of Truth, whatever you want to call it, is a space where families, supporters, survivors all gather and take a moment to heal, to reflect, to grieve, to kind of like reunite. It's a very important space, and it's built and put together by the community for the community. Now, we at Grenfell Mediawatch team received a couple of reports last week that the space had actually been cleared. So horrified and rightly angry, as you can imagine, I went down there. And when I came out at Latimer Road, the first thing I noticed was all these signs, these kind of removal notices from churches saying that everything's going to be pulled back. And I'm talking about the photos, the well wishes, the calls for justice. They're all going to be scaled back bit by bit. Now that obviously, alarm bells triggered off in my head. Anyway, I got to Maxilla, and when I got there, actually everything was still there. I looked around, took some photos to make sure there's a record of what's going on, and there was a council official there, and I spoke to them, asking them exactly, look, there's a lot of concern about the council, Westway Trust, whoever it is, coming down and demolishing this space, taking away everything that people have donated and contributed to make this a place of healing. Now, the council reassured me that they had absolutely no intention of actually removing anything or repainting over any of the artwork. And that was quite reassuring to hear. In fact, what they did say was that they were more concerned about health and safety. You see, because there's some commercial spaces back there, and these commercial spaces where shops are, they need access in the rear. And some of the work that's being done by community groups were blocking water pipes and, you know, escape routes and that kind of stuff. So that's really what they were concerned about. Okay, so these are the items that are potentially causing a safety risk. There's an overflow over here. There's a bucket there that's kind of catching that. But these are potential blockages. These are the back of the shops. But the Westway Trust then came onto my radar. You see, because the Westway Trust is this £8 million a year body that looks after these kind of spaces for the council. And they had called this emergency meeting, and with what I could figure out was like 24 hours notice. And I don't know who can get down to a 2 p.m. meeting with 24-hour notice. I mean, how are you going to, you know, sort of like council work, etc. So I don't know what was going on and what was the rationale there. But anyway, they called out this meeting. People came down, and this is where the story started to unfold, the he said, she said. I don't really want to go into all the he said, she said, but it's really important that we understand that whilst the news media may be more interested in what's going on in the front of the door, and I'm talking about things like Downing Street, they're interested in all the politics side of things, we've also got to look at what the community needs and what's going on over there. Anyway, what I hear from reliable sources is that the net result of this meeting is that residents would like some lighting in space. So if you think it's, in fact, being honest with you, it's not uncommon, it's not unlike where I am now. So what they would like is there to be some lighting so that late at night when they come to Maxilla, that it's actually safe. Some people would like cameras placed. Obviously there's much suspicion about that, and I think that's rightly so, especially with the idea of surveillance cameras being used, CCTV, and abused against residents. But I understand the security concerns, and also some kind of budget, some kind of fun. I don't know if you've ever been, but if you have, you'll know that sometimes you might want to get a cup of tea, and people are hosting that out of the spirit of their heart, drinks of water. So a small budget out of that £8 million a year cut to make this work wouldn't be too bad. So it's essential that we recognise how important a space like that, how needed it is. Some people are ready to move on, as they say. I mean, people are asking me, why don't I move on? You know, Grenfell was months ago, why don't I just let this go? Well, not everyone is ready to move on. Not everyone feels there's justice. I don't feel there's been justice. I think there's still work to be done. I think that if I take my eye off the ball, just like many other people, that things will slip backwards. We've seen this happen before. I've just seen a block over here. This is what it will probably look like when it's covered up. Can you see the block over there? That's kind of what's going to happen to Grenfell Towers. It'll be covered, and then slowly but surely it'll become invisible. You start taking away all the words of condolences, the pictures, the images, the questions, becomes invisible. You start clearing out a space where people congregate, the issues become invisible. And before you know it, everything stays the same, nothing changes. So that's why I'm involved in this. And another reason why this is important, because I don't know if some of you have seen in today's newspapers, but Grenfell has been seen as the largest collective case of mental health issues across Europe. What experts are saying is that some 11,000 people have been affected. I am one of those people that's been affected, let alone those who lost and who saw family members burning to death, jumping from windows. So the newspapers are saying 11,000 people have been affected, but directly 3,600 people are in treatment. And when I say people, I'm talking about adults and children. This is a live issue. This is something that is affecting people's lives even as we speak. So please be supportive. Please have a bit more patience. I know there's going to be a memorial at St. Paul's, and that will be another act of national remembrance. And it's needed, it's necessary. If you're not interested, just turn away. Don't get involved if that's how you feel, but don't stop and don't prevent those who need to grieve those who need to be involved in actually securing justice from doing the work that they need to do. So I'm going to close now, as usual, and say, may the ancestors continue to guide and protect us. Ashe.